Welcome back to the How to Love an Avoidant Man miniseries. This is part 3. Now today we're going to be following up with two major questions that a lot of you guys asked in the comment sections from the first two videos. Number one question, how do I move into a committed relationship with an avoidant man? And do I have to walk on eggshells forever so that he doesn't leave me? Okay, the response on parts 1 and 2 were huge. So thank you guys for helping me go viral. I can tell there are so many people out there who, like myself, don't hate avoidant people, right? Avoidant people get a terrible rap all over the internet for the few people who are very manipulative and hurtful. But the research shows that about 25% of the population has avoidant attachment style now. 4 different studies over the last 25 years have confirmed that. So it's not 25% of the population that's walking around horribly manipulative. It's a sliver of that. The majority of avoidantly attached people, good and desiring of love. Okay. If you missed those first 2 videos, go back and check them out. It shows you what not to do, and then it shows you what to do to help an avoidant man feel loved. Okay. I am Adam Lane Smith, if you're coming in brand new, the attachment specialist, and I am here to show you how to love an avoidant man. I've seen avoidant men become some of the most loving husbands and loving fathers on earth, but only when they learn what true love feels like. Now, that's a whole other topic. I've got another video coming soon called How to Fix Avoidant Attachment. That's going to give you an in-depth look at avoidant attachment and how you can resolve that, not by force against their will, but to help somebody with avoidant attachment overcome it for good and start winning in their relationships. That video is coming really soon. Today, I want to dive into how you can use the information you've gained from parts 1 and part 2 about loving an avoidant man to then build a romantic connection that goes into a committed relationship. That means fulfilling and relaxed bonding for the both of you so that you both feel safe and you are both happy so you can win as a couple. This video is not about fixing your avoidant partner. It's about making sure that both of you can fully feel secure in the connection that you're going to share. Okay, you ready? Let's get into it. Now, I have coached so many avoidant men over the years, you guys. I can't even begin to give you a number. But one avoidant man in particular stands out to me. He came in asking for help to help him stop freaking out about being engaged to a wonderful, beautiful young woman. He spent his time cycling between seeing her as beautiful and wonderful and the love of his life, and then thinking about their upcoming marriage and instantly devaluing her, thinking that she was ugly. She would actually look uglier in his eyes. It was hard for him to be attracted to her during the times when he was thinking about the upcoming marriage. It almost ruined their relationship because during those times she would try to hug him, try to hold him, want to engage in bedroom activities with him, and he couldn't. He couldn't perform. He couldn't look at her. She had to dress in all kinds of different outfits, and he had fetishes he was trying to pull in to try to make some attraction work. But then when he wasn't thinking about the marriage, she was gorgeous. She was lovely. And she had a wonderful, loving, affectionate personality. Everything about this woman was wonderful, but he was flipping wildly back and forth between loving her and wanting to run away screaming. His brain chemistry itself made her appear ugly to him. Okay? It almost ruined things for them. I'm going to tell you what happened to them later on in this video. Avoidant attachment style feels this way. It feels like a compulsion to run away, to escape. Avoidant attachment, it's not about being weak, okay? We talk a lot about it being fear, and it is a fear response. People online talk about avoidant attachment being afraid of being engulfed by love. And I really hate that, to be honest with you. I hate this idea of avoidant people being afraid of being engulfed by love. That's not their problem. Avoidant attachment feels like nobody will ever be fair with you, ever. So you are afraid and your stress goes up way more than usual when you walk into a situation where you will have to rely on someone to be fair. For example, you're going to get married. That is a tremendous amount of legal pressure that other people can bring to bear against you. If you don't believe anyone will ever be fair to you, then settling down into a marriage feels like loading a gun for somebody and saying, okay, point that at my head for the next 50 years. It feels like connecting to other people is foolish. Your stress goes up. but it also feels very lonely. Avoidantly attached people are some of the loneliest people on earth because they haven't been able to bond with the people around them. Avoidant attachment style. It feels terrifying. And that's not to say that these people are cowards. They're not, okay? But it feels terrifying because they have no past history of people who were fair to them. They have a history of when people get power over them, people trap them. They have a history of people having secret expectations and then suddenly springing it on them. They have maybe a history of parents who are authoritarian, talking down to them, ordering them to do things arbitrarily that they did not want to do, so they never want to be under someone's control again. Or maybe their parents screaming at each other, or their parents just going completely hands off and not giving them the love that they needed. Failing them, disappointing them. Okay? They have a history of people with those secret expectations and then resenting them for not following through on secret expectations. Connection is an unfamiliar experience to them. Bonding, unfamiliar experience to them. Intimacy, very unfamiliar experience to them. And intimacy leads to being vulnerable to getting hurt. Okay? Avoidant attachment style is a survival mechanism that clicks on when you are a child in an environment where no one is going to meet your needs. Your brain chemistry shifts. Check out my other video, The Biochemistry of Avoidant Attachment Style, for answers on that. But your brain chemistry shifts so that you are not receiving oxytocin bonding with other people. It actually prevents you from bonding through oxytocin with other people. This is why many people with an avoidant attachment style develop an oxytocin phobia. Some of this comes from the work of Dr. Sue Carter. She's one of the leading experts in the world researching oxytocin and vasopressin bonding. Her research shows that an organism who experiences very, very, very little oxytocin, but then does start releasing it significantly with one other organism, can actually trigger a fear response bigger than if they were simply alone, because now they're afraid of losing that one connection that they had. I have seen, for example, plenty of avoidantly attached men that when their wife or girlfriend starts trying to hold their hand, snuggle with them, be close to them, be intimate, before or after the bedroom experience, that it makes his skin crawl and he feels like he has to get away. It's very uncomfortable for them. Plenty of avoidant husbands buy a dog for their wife to get her away from him. Sad, yes, but that's the only way they know how to deal with that fear. So an avoidantly attached man has a partner. He manages to connect with her in some way. He cares about her. He loves her as much as he understands how to love. He does love her. He gives to her. He sacrifices for her. And then she wants to get married. And then she starts pushing for that. And he doesn't understand why. Why can't we just be together? Why do we have to have this legal document where it's a loaded gun to my head? That commitment, that fear, even if they do want it, even if they do want to build a family, even if they do want to be with you forever, the idea of being vulnerable in a world where nobody will ever really be fair with them or ever really care about their needs. That's why they respond with so much fear. That's why they run away. That's why so many women come into my coaching practice and into my mentorship group saying, I just lost my partner of 8 years because I pushed him for marriage and he was out. 8 years, and he ducked out because of the idea of getting married. He ducked out because he was so terrified of living with a loaded gun to his head. In his eyes, that's what marriage was. This is not me being anti-marriage. I'm happily married for 15 plus years. We just had our 15-year wedding anniversary. I have 5 kids with my wife. I love marriage, you guys. But for an avoidantly attached person, marriage feels like living with a loaded gun to your head. It feels like loading that gun for them and saying, point this at me for the rest of our life. Please, I would love that. If you're watching this video and it seems like it would be easier to have somebody guide you through this, a mentor to show you exactly what to do step by step in applying everything you're learning here, you need to join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. I will work with you personally for an entire year in 100 plus group calls. Plus, you're going to get the support of a growth-minded community of other individuals who will be companions on your journey, people you can trust, people you can work with, and people you can practice these skills with. If you want to join us, join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. There's a link below in the description. I'll see you in there. So the underlying issues, how do we resolve these? Let's talk about that. The underlying issue is the belief no one will ever be fair for you and to you and kind to you and care for you. That's why in video part 1, we talked about how to not overrun them with your needs, how to not make them feel smothered, how to not make avoidant men feel like they are going to get hurt in the relationship with you. If you can stop that bleed from part 1, then you won't drive them away. In part 2, we talked about how to show and model that love and that kindness and fairness in a relationship so that they feel safe with you. And probably during that process, they'll begin oxytocin bonding with you because their cortisol goes low. And it confuses them because they're finally connected to somebody, but it also tends to feel good over time once they get past the fear. In this video, let's talk about how to move forward into a fully committed, loving, romantic marriage, perhaps with a partner. Okay? Biggest thing you need to know is that nothing can be secret or unspoken. Nothing in your relationship should be secret or unspoken. Everything needs to be explicit and discussed and right on the table. If you don't have a marriage agreement, and I'm not talking about a prenup, if you don't have an agreement for who's going to do what and how you will handle issues and how you as a couple are going to operate and the finances and jobs and labor tests, if you don't have an explicit agreement, then you don't have a safe relationship. Avoidantly attached people know this. What they're actually doing is driving for safety and security in the relationship, but they don't know how to get it. Everything needs to be on the table. Everything needs to be discussed. Everything needs reassurances of fairness. That's why the second video, I show you how to make sure that you are consistently fair. Not just saying the word fair. Yes, you should say the word fair about 3 times an hour with avoidantly attached people, but you should follow up on that by being fair. Now, all of this includes how to make sure that they know how to be fair to you. Both of you need to have a mutually fulfilling relationship that is sustainable, mutually fulfilling, and fair. That's what an avoidantly attached person craves, and they don't believe that's possible. So when you show them that it is possible and you build it with them, that's where that pressure against marriage evaporates, their resistance goes away, and they feel very comfortable marrying you. Help them to understand that everything you're going to do together will be a negotiation based on mutual fulfillment. Now, does this sound sexy? Maybe not, but to an avoidantly attached person, it is, because it soothes that fear. You are the first person in the world to be fully fair with them and to really meet them where they're at and make them comfortable. That is very attractive to them. It's soothing. So what is soothing? Soothing is when somebody else has high cortisol and you step in and you help them relieve that cortisol in a way that they couldn't relieve alone. Sometimes this is by removing the stimulus that's creating the cortisol, removing the stress point. If you do that, that's vasopressin bonding, which has huge bonding implications, especially for avoidant attachment, because that can slip around behind the avoidant attachment and bond the two of you together through resolving stress together. Practical bonding. Or soothing can come in where you overwhelm the cortisol with high levels of oxytocin that bypasses that cortisol issue and shuts it down. Hard to do. You have to have a lot of oxytocin. There has to be a lot of trust, but soothing can also be that. And that bonds them through oxytocin. This is why soothing the avoidantly attached person's past wounds and fears bonds them to you. It's not about babying them. And a lot of people in the comment sections on the first 2 videos, and a lot of women on TikTok when I posted these videos there, complained about having to baby a child. They called them man children. They said avoidantly attached men are babies and man children who don't deserve my love. Number 1, that's horrific. Please don't degrade the dignity of human beings just because they're struggling with attachment issues. Number 1. So please don't do that. Number 2, partners care for each other. If you cannot provide love and care for a person who is struggling, if you will not take their fear seriously, then you should not get married. Because your marriage will just end in disaster, and you will probably be the person who kills it. This whole process, it's not babying a man-child. It is showing your avoidantly attached man that you will act as a committed partner during this part of the process headed toward commitment, And that means in the marriage, you will also do the same. When you are self-policing with being mutually fulfilling and sustainable in your relationship, you prove that you are the one person in this world they can trust, and that will make them want to marry you. Now, all the time when I tell people this, when I teach couples this, they don't know what to discuss. They say, okay, well, what do we talk about? Okay. Here are some topics that I have helped couples go through in my coaching practice that does drive great results when you have these topics and have these conversations. Okay. This will make the avoidant person, and probably you, feel safer and more relaxed when you discuss these things together and build a fair balance for both sides. Number one, finances. Discuss the money. I've been married 15 years. Trust me, you will have to talk about money. It is better to talk about money early and see if you're both capable of reasonably discussing money without gimme, 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 or it's mine, or back off, or you don't need to know that, but being able to calmly discuss money. Living arrangements. Who's living where? Who's marrying who's living in which house? Who's living with us? Are we living alone? What are we doing? Being able to calmly assess that. Maybe even over the first couple of years. Will we live here and then move there? Sit down and discuss that so there's no unknowns in the finances or the living arrangements. Sexual needs. A lot of avoidantly attached people, they're driven primarily by dopamine, so they focus on this idea that at some point their sexual needs will go away and won't be met, and they'll have to live in a sexless marriage. A lot of them are afraid that's going to happen. A lot of them have seen other marriages where that did happen. A lot of them grew up in parental marriages where that happened, and they heard about it from their parents. Horrible. Talk about sexual needs. Talk about what's okay. Talk about what's great. Talk about maybe what isn't fully shared, but what you guys can do. Talk about how to handle different issues. Talk about what's going to happen if sexual needs change. Talk about if you're going to take care of each other in those ways. Talk about divorce and prenup. Again, not super sexy, but when you build this connection and commitment, and when you feel safe because you know where the boundaries are and what would split you up, it does feel safer. And that opens the pathway for sexiness. Okay? Childcare balance. I got 5 kids. Trust me. Talk about childcare balance earlier on instead of when you have a child, both of you, or you're driving home from the hospital and you look at each other and say, okay, who's quitting their job? Have the conversation now. And then don't just say, well, oh, you'll just stay home or I'll just stay home. Talk about how does that work? What does it look like? How long will you stay home? Do you really crave to stay home or are you begrudgingly do it? Okay. If you're begrudgingly doing that, that's a problem. Recent Forbes article talked to a lot of women in the corporate sector about wishing they could stay home with their partner. About 84% of women in the corporate sector said, I wish I could stay home and just take care of my kids. It is a huge desire. A lot of guys today say women don't want to. 84%. Division of labor in the home. A lot of avoidantly attached guys step in and try to help and help and help at the beginning, but then they start to burn out and then they feel like they're not allowed to stop. Talk about the division of labor and what's really expected. Break it up. Talk about monogamy. A lot of avoidant men come into my coaching practice and say, I don't know if monogamy is for me or not. I can't imagine the idea of being attracted to someone and just having sex with them for the rest of my life. Again, that's that dopamine cycle. Typically, they don't understand how to build the oxytocin pipeline that keeps them intimately connected. But talk about monogamy. Talk about the fears of it. Talk about what you would do to handle some of those fears. Talk about taking space. If the avoidantly attached person needs space, and they will, how can they do that? One thing I recommend is make it a loving action to give space. That way, if the other person happens to be anxiously attached, they don't feel like, oh, you're leaving me. They say, I am giving you genuine love in the way that you need most by giving you space. How much space do you need? How much time do you need? Goes right into time alone. How much time do you need? Okay, you had a really rough week. You train the avoidantly attached person to be able to say, I had a really rough week. I need to be away from humans. Give me about 6 hours tonight, and then I can come out and be a human with you after that. But I got to get 6 hours alone, please, in a silent room. Cool. You need a day? What do you need? You need a weekend by yourself. Being able to talk about that, though, clearly with context instead of secretly taking it so it looks like you're running away, and then the other person chases them and makes it worse. Have that conversation. Have those conversations. Extremely important. Time with friends is just as crucial. Avoidantly attached people are very afraid that their partner is just going to sit there in a rocking chair, wrapped in a shawl, crying, staring out the window while the avoidantly attached person is out trying to have a beer with their friends. They don't want that. They don't want you to just wait and be miserable. They want you to have time with your friends too. So both partners need to talk about time with friends. What does that look like? What's allowed? Not that you should be allowing each other, but that is the language that a lot of couples will think in. Not that I'm allowing you, but that you think you're allowing me. Give that time. Don't allow it. Give it. I want you to have this time. Let's schedule time with our separate friends. And how you're going to handle future challenges you haven't even thought of yet. How are you going to do that? Talk about that. The unknowns are what really scare an avoidantly attached man and make him afraid of marriage. So talk about, will we have weekly check-ins? Will we have monthly check-ins? I teach this into my coaching clients all the time. How will you handle future challenges? Are you having meetings? Businesses do it. That's how they stay afloat. Are you doing it? You should. I recommend it. Sit and talk about how you're going to handle it and how you will be fair to each other. If you're watching this video and it seems like it would be easier to have somebody guide you through this, a mentor to show you exactly what to do step by step in applying everything you're learning here, you need to join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. I will work with you personally for an entire year in 100 plus group calls. Plus, you're going to get the support of a growth-minded community of other individuals who will be companions on your journey, people you can trust, people you can work with, and people you can practice these skills with. If you want to join us, join the Attachment Circle Mentorship Program. There's a link below in the description. I'll see you in there. Again, guys, I know that this probably doesn't sound sexy to sit and talk about divorce and friends and meetings. It probably doesn't sound sexy to write out a contract, and that's okay. But this level of clarity and fairness allows your avoidantly attached partner to feel safe. That becomes very sexy, especially once they start releasing oxytocin. They become interested in you, attracted to you long term. You become very attractive to them because of who you are. And then they can't get enough of you. So have the unsexy conversations so that you can have the sexy conversations. Now, the second question, will it always be this way? Do I have to walk on eggshells forever? Will I always have to live with my partner's avoidant attachment style where they want to run screaming the moment something isn't going their way? I get that comment all the time, some variations of it, sometimes resentful, sometimes really thoughtful and curious, sometimes just exhausted. Research published in 2018 in the Personality and Social Psychology Review Journal shows that an avoidantly attached partner, over time, is very likely to become more secure themselves. That secure bond helps them feel secure and become secure. Okay, the research is very clear on this and it's really cool. But to have that happen, the relationship must be sustainable to endure. Okay, sustainable. Now, endlessly pouring yourself into walking on eggshells, no, that's not sustainable. You can begin with this approach. Okay, many women go back to those first two videos and left comments saying, I'm encouraging enabling. I'm encouraging an unsustainable life. I get that. But the goal of all three parts, keep that in mind, is to support an avoidantly attached partner who wants to change and is working toward becoming more secure with you. The goal of these three videos is not to get you connected to an avoidant partner who's going to yell at you and mistreat you and dismiss you your whole life. Yes, those avoidant people are out there. This is for the majority of avoidantly attached people who want to build a loving, sustainable, fulfilling, mutually fulfilling, fair for both sides relationship. They just don't know that that's possible yet. They want to become secure and they want to build this love with you. That is why I made these three videos. Now, that's also why this video is not about fixing them as if you are a car mechanic. They're a person. They need to make their own choices. All three videos fit together to get an avoidant person the support that they need to show them that love is possible. That can encourage them to change into a secure and loving partner if they want to. Now, here's what that can look like. That guy that I talked to at the very, very beginning of this video who was viewing his loving, wonderful, gorgeous partner as hideous. Okay. I've actually had a number of male clients that were this way. So if you're watching this, hey, it's probably not you. I've had this a number of times, to be honest with you. I see it a lot. The guy that I'm thinking of in particular, who thought she was beautiful and then ugly, and beautiful and ugly, and couldn't wait to rip her clothes off, and then couldn't wait to jump out the window and escape because she was so hideous in his eyes. Back and forth. That guy learned to trust his partner finally. They use this 3-part approach, actually. How to stop making him feel scared, how to start making him feel loved and cared for, and have those initial difficult conversations, and then continue pushing into that process and doing this during the course of building toward marriage. In 10 sessions with me, he went from ready to run away to excited to get married, happy to have a child together. Not feeling like there was a loaded gun to his head, but feeling like they had a wonderful golden future where he could get his needs met, be taken seriously, have everything be fair, and have a sustainable, loving relationship for the rest of his life. My favorite moment was in our last session when I said, so, when was the last time she looked ugly to you? And he said, I can't even remember. All I see is this beautiful woman. That's all I see anymore. That's the power of love. That's the power of secure attachment, okay? Now that neurobiology, that oxytocin bonding, crucial to get that, but only accessible when the cortisol goes down, when the stress goes down, okay? Crucial that they get that bonding. That releases GABA, which suppresses cortisol more in the future. That helps also release vasopressin when you start solving cortisol and bonding together like this. That's why fixing your attachment bonds you so deeply is through vasopressin. If you want more information on that, check out Dr. Sue Carter's work on vasopressin. Again, leading expert in the world in that research, but fascinating research that shows how important vasopressin bonding is to feeling safe. That allows the release of serotonin, which improves that mood, improves that positive feeling, that contentment, and that fulfillment. All of that together overcomes that dopamine fixation and helps an avoidantly attached person's brain feel this fulfilled with you. If you follow these 3 videos, their brain goes from this to this when they work with you. Use the method from all 3 videos with an avoidant partner who is looking for real love. This can be hard to do. I know this process is challenging. That's why I have personal coaching, you guys, to assist with this. So if you need assistance, like my client who went from scared and thinking she was hideous to fulfilled and seeing her beauty, if you need help, let me know. Reach out. I am here to assist. Drop a comment below in the comments. Send me an email. I am here. Okay. I also have premarital coaching to get through these discussions from this video. If you need help having these talks, please let me know. I am definitely here to assist. I do not want any relationship to break up that doesn't have to break up. Now, loving an avoidant man isn't always easy, right? You might feel pushed away at times during the process of him healing. You might wonder if they're going to come through for you. You might feel like they aren't really in it sometimes. But if you follow these 3 steps from these 3 videos, all 3 of them, what not to do, what to do, and how to foster that deeper trust and intimacy heading into commitment, you can move into a secure and sustainable, fulfilling, mutually beneficial relationship. Yes, a lot of those are more legal terms, but think in those terms. You can build that relationship with your partner if you follow these 3 videos. I'm going to say it again, like I said at the beginning of this video. I have seen avoidant men become some of the most loving, intimate, caring, nurturing fathers on earth when they finally learn what true love feels like. Because nobody else understands what it's like to live in a world where that doesn't exist. So giving that to their family, it becomes everything to them. Okay? For that to happen, they have to truly believe that this is possible. They have to understand attachment and fear of connection. They have to understand where their fear is coming from and that it doesn't have to stay that way. Then they have to go through the 3 steps in these 3 videos: stopping their fear, finding trust, and moving forward into commitment with somebody that shows them the way. So if you are a woman out there who loves an avoidant man, be the one who shows him that. Be the first person on the planet who has given him authentic love that makes him feel relaxed and trusting and safe with you so that he can win with you. This is not about going from being a coward to being somebody who's okay. This is about going from being a survivor to winning with your family, with your team, with your partner, with people that you trust. That's what this process is for. And avoidant guys out there, I know that you can be skeptical at first about all of this, but this method does work. And the benefits are worth the change with the right person. It can be fulfilling and warm and trusting and fair. You can have those relationships with the right people. You've just got to learn to figure out who those people are. Now, I am Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Now that you see the complete picture, start to finish, go back and watch all 3 of these videos again. You will see the pattern all at once, and you're going to know exactly what an avoidant man needs to go from afraid to happily committed. I'll see you in those videos.